Welcome to TradersArmy.com, defending your right to build wealth and preserve capital for generations to come. Yeah, Wednesday. What's up, everybody? Wednesday morning. Welcome to our edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson, as we are up a little bit this morning, although something that would have surprised a lot of traders last night at about 7 or 8 p.m. when we saw the markets really take a tumble. But we had kind of a V bounce back rally in the equity markets, and then a V bounce back collapse in the oil markets overnight. So it was one of those nights where we saw very, very big movement in all of our markets. But for what it's worth, we'll dive into each one of those. If you are new to the channel, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get the alerts and the updates in the channel as we show them on a regular basis. Okay, let's dive right in. So the S&P. We're up 1. Now, the S&P is up 1 off of last night's huge, we had a really big, strong pullback off of the Iranian attacks on the U.S. bases. And then once there was no report of casualties, and then the markets decided to rally back up. And so, quoting Shakespeare, we would say full of sound and fury, signifying nothing, where we had a very big move down, a V bottom, and a very big move back up, really to start us back right where we, to put us back right where we started. Now, I will say this. I talked to a number of traders yesterday who got short right here at this little supply level. And this little supply level was a very quality zone where we had a little drop base and then an intraday drop. And so this came out after the daily market commentary. So for those of you that were able to catch that little short, you were very handsomely rewarded. And then price came screaming down. Now, we did blow right through a 15-minute demand area. The market did come right down and blow right through a 15-minute demand area it just sliced through this one like a knife through butter. And so that one did not hold in any way. Came a bit lower to the origin of this next move higher. And so this next move higher that we had here, and really we had a little 15-minute level even on top of that one, coming back into this little area right here. So the market did come back into this zone, and that's where we rallied and bounced off of. So both of those levels are going to no longer be anything that I want to lean on as we are kind of continuing the march higher. One thing I would say this morning is that President Trump is supposed to speak, and so we could have one of those snap moves, really one way or the other. And so, in looking at that, if President Trump comes out and says, well, there's no need for further escalation, and the markets have, we've seen everything that we're going to see, then I think that there's a probability that we'll continue to go a bit higher. As I look at my above supply levels, right? So we have a supply level here and a supply level here, and then our all-time high, which was created late last week. Those are the 3 supply levels above current price. Well, this one was already tested, which resulted in this big move away. This wick over wick level has been tested once and then was tested a second time, and all the way to the top. So neither of these levels would be quality enough levels for us to look for a strong short against, because they've already been tested, which would cause a little bit of a use up of some of the orders that are in that region. So I still think that this level here could be a valid one. So this one, I think, could be still a valid level, although I would not be opposed to you saying, I'm not going to take anything until after the announcement. But I think that this level here could still be fairly valid, formed right around market open, retested at a decent time of day. So that one might be worth taking a look at. Obviously, stop above the pivot in this case. On a 4-hour trend, we can see that we are, technically we had a higher swing high, lower swing low. We're in basically a sideways price pattern. And that sideways price pattern, makes it a little bit more difficult to find trades on this smaller time frame. Nasdaq, very similar picture. Now the Nasdaq, I did anticipate a long out of this level in here, so this one actually did get a little bit of a whack. But remember, the first entry was a confirmation trade, so no reason to get in, and then the second entry was a very small level, 87.98 by 87.91. So it was a very small wick over wick area that the market just came and blew right through. So I'm okay with that in a small little level like this, and then it hit an area and gave us a bounce, although not quite as clean of the demand area. It didn't come quite to the hourly demand area that the S&P did, and it's rallied up pretty well off of that zone. Looking at the supply areas above us in this one, you've got essentially that same wick over wick level below the all-time high was already traded and hit through a number of times, and now we are coming close. We're actually popping into it here, but once again, with a little bit of indecisiveness coming into this level, if we do get a trade out of here, it's only going to come down to this region, and we're really close to the all-time high. In the strongest market, I don't know that I would be looking to short a reversal in an all-time high, near an all-time high in the strongest of my equity markets. I'm a little bit more okay with it in the S&P than I am in the Nasdaq. Taking a look at crude oil. So crude oil rallied up. This is another one that cut right through our 60-minute level, which I kind of felt like this was a pretty good little zone. But then it came through and just touched our other level, and this was the level that was formed. We talked about this one, I want to say yesterday. You had to go way back to find the origin of this level. Here we go. It was this little base drop below a pivot high, and I'll zoom in on it so we can see the formation. What I love to see are these little pivots followed by a drop base drop. So a pivot high followed by a drop base drop. I also enjoy seeing a pivot low followed by a rally base rally, but oftentimes those are excellent market turning points. Now, my assumption is that most people probably weren't shorting this thing at 6 p.m. and making a trade on this movement. If you did, great. You got a nice little trade out of the deal. My assumption is that most people probably were not. It also cut through a little 15-minute level there up above us. Now, we also had a breakout trade that occurred above this level here that we had spoken about yesterday. So, all of those kind of happened at the same time, giving you that long opportunity as well as that short, but with that little stop out here in the middle, it may not have run to fruition. I will tell you, this is typically, if there's a time of the day where I'm least likely to trade, it's from 5 p.m. until about midnight. I just don't see those levels that are created in that time of day to be typically worth trading. And so, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to participate in this move down because I just don't trade those time of days. It's not something that I'm looking at, and I would anticipate that probably most traders were not. Don't feel like you missed out on some big moves because you weren't trading at the worst possible time of day. That's one thing that I always want to stress to traders is you got to trade at the right time of the day that's going to fit your style. So as the markets are coming back down, we have this little origin of this strong move up. I'm looking here at a 15-minute chart to see if there's any clean levels for an opportunity. And when I look at, kind of clean areas, I don't really have a great one. Once again, like I said, I don't love these time of days that levels are created. And so looking at what we have on the hourly chart, it looks to me as though, this was a nice little breakdown opportunity here, but I think that we could retest this area in here, which was formed right at the kind of the European market open, and then get a little sell-off. But just be aware of, depends on what President Trump says this morning. Next, gold. So gold, we had our breakout trade, talked about it yesterday, got a really nice breakout in gold. And that occurred actually before the announcement. So that one occurred before the announcement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on our 6th candle, we finally got some movement. And so if you took that gold breakout trade, that was actually the best trade that's set up very, very well. And it happened well before the well before the Iranian strike. So if you were able to capitalize on this one, this is the one where the news actually helped you. Now, this was another one that has kind of reversed direction right after, but I think that our big picture trend is still overall up. And I think that we may get another bite at the apple right here on a reversal if you get another shot at this one. Next would be bonds and currency markets. So in our ZN trade, looking here at the at our bond markets, go into our 4-hour trend. Our 4-hour trend is still up. We did come to this high right here, pierce through it just a little bit off the 4-hour, and now we're starting to kind of sell off from that 4-hour high. Technically, that trend is still up as we're putting in higher swing highs, higher swing lows, but I can see a potential for a breakdown below this area here, provided that we get the basing, right? Basing is really what I need inside of an area for me to take a potential breakdown. As I look above, you know, kind of where the current price is, I'd need to be able to see, do we have a decent reversal level in one of these zones for a short? Next level in the Aussie. So the Aussie's continuing their its move lower as we're seeing that one just kind of continue to fall and to drop. We had a breakdown level way back here that frankly never broke down, obviously went the other direction, but it doesn't mean we take the level off. I want to keep an eye on that level as we come back into this region to see if we base in that area. So I'm just kind of extending it forward for right now. And then once again, if we get a little bit of a pop up, we could see a reversal in price to come back down from this level. But as of right now, there's really nothing to add from yesterday's trades. The euro, we talked about a potential breakdown in the euro trade. This is another one that happened in the early morning hours. We broke down from there, got a little bit of a run, came back up and retested it, but didn't come above the pivot. So if you took the breakout, then you're still running. I would say probably most people did not, because it didn't give me a, you know, it was in the trend direction, which is really the only reason to take that little breakdown, because it was going the big picture trend direction. And then it rallied back up, and then now it is sold off in the overnights. What I would say now to look for, if I go to my 4-hour chart, clearly our 4-hour trend direction, once I got lower than this low, is very well defined, and so we would look for a rally back up to a smaller time frame area of supply. You know, looking at this, I really like these wick over wick areas when they're created. You also have this pivot right here, which occurred at the European market open. So kind of keep an eye on both of those. Once again, knowing that I don't want to take too many trades on a news announcement. So if a big spike, you know, if we spike into there on the news announcement, I can trade the reaction to the news announcement, but not necessarily the announcement itself. And then the Canadian dollar, we still have a breakout above here. Identified as a potential area. Yesterday we had talked about potentially getting down below here, and our reversal is in this area right down there. So this level here is the origin of a very strong rally up. So keep an eye on that one for a reversal at some point today. 76,684 by 76,632 as a potential reversal point. Last but certainly not least, Great British Pound and Japanese Yen. As we look at the pound, we are above our area of demand in a 4-hour market that's telling me I got lower swing lows and slightly higher lows and lower highs. So we're pinching a little bit here. Expect a breakdown, and I think that the breakdown could reverse right in that area. Japanese yen, we gave this a little touch and go. Now, we had moved it to a confirmation entry, and it came a tick below anyway, so there's no reason for an entry in that Japanese yen level. But we are above a potential breakout if we get the basing in front of this level. Provided we do not get the basing in front of this level, we would then want to look to this area here for a potential reversal. Now, this area here is a pivot followed by a drop-based drop, and this is a very recent level. We'll see what if price comes back into here for a potential reversal. There is a chance in this one that we'll trade fairly deeper into this zone because the 2 a.m. market, which is a very good reversal time. So if you want to trim this level up, it'd be okay to trim this level up to about here and put it at the low of this doji candle's body. All right, well, I know I covered a lot today, and I don't want to go too long, so I'm going to turn this thing off for the day. The S&P is just about entering into what could be this little reversal area in here, so keep an eye on this one as we head. Remember, it's confirmation, so I need to come halfway in. But be aware of the announcement that comes out this morning. Let's see how that affects markets, and then just stay nimble in your trades, and always check for the arrivals. Right, the arrivals into a level are going to be a very important part of our trades. That is why we use alerts as often as we can. All right, everybody, have a great day. I will see you later.